What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the CrabNet Show, and this is our fantasy football podcast. Today, we're counting down to game week 4, and we'll be looking at the standout fixtures and players going to this game week. We're bringing you advice straight from the streets of South Africa, as we always do, giving you fantasy managers some insight as you prep your squads for the coming game week. Thanks again for joining us on another episode of the CrabNet. I'm your host, Raj, and our fantasy segment has really got a lot of attention, and we love talking fantasy football here on the CrabNet. We've got another panel of expert fantasy managers who's going to give you some advice as you make some key decisions for this game week. Two of our resident analysts are joining us again. Homeboy Shay is here. What's happening, Shay?
What's happening, Raj? I don't know about the expert part, but we can tune about ball.
Yeah. Underestimating your skill there, Shay. Homie Gur is with us again. What's happening, Gur?
Hey, what's up, gents? Yeah, man, our second shade there. I don't know about the expert thing, but I love playing this fantasy game.
Yeah. Not the best game week, the last one, but we got to keep...
Well, for some.
For sure.
But as it was nice.
And we've got an excited guest to join us for the first time. Our homeboy Kirian is with us. What's happening, Kay?
Cool, man. I'm going to echo my fellow panel members here. Not so much an expert, but experienced. Let's say experienced.
Experienced, yes, definitely. Playing fantasy for many years now, Kirian has been up there with many of the big hitters in our friendly leagues on the streets of South Africa. So looking forward to hearing your advice there, Kirian. But yeah, listeners, I'm sure all of you have looked at this game week as one where you need to either keep up with the leaders in your own fantasy leagues or make up some ground after a poor start. So some big decisions going into this week. And Gur, starting with you this week, when you looked at the fixtures, some tasty ones there. Some of the big hitting clubs have got some good fixtures. Which one stood out the best for you?
So the past game week was a big upset all around. I think it echoed amongst most of the players. It was a crappy week for most. Like the way Everton are playing. Worried about the injuries coming up.
They got their victory last week against Crystal Palace, so looking to maintain that winning run.
Yeah, so I wouldn't get all of them, but one or two worth having in your team.
Especially the fact that they're playing a Brighton team that did well against United, but of course your boys managed to put 3 goals past them.
Yeah, so that was also fortunate. It was a bad performance from United. Terrible one. But I think United still gonna come through. They were looking good in this Carabao Cup, and I think they got the players. I mean, the thing with fantasy is you don't go and buy players always just you've seen the name now hitting top points and you're like, let me go grab it. There's players that you know for years that have been good, and they will hit form. Yeah, let's just bank on them.
But I think you hit a good point there, and Kieran, I want to pull you into this one. Everton have looked dominant in the first 3 game weeks. The likes of Dominic Calvert-Lewin and James Rodriguez has been on many managers' radar for the first 3 game weeks. So you're thinking, bring them in, whether you have a free transfer or not. Should someone look at taking maybe a -4 hit to bring Everton forward into their team?
Yeah, look, I don't think there's any doubting the Everton guys. They've been scoring lots of points, lots of attacking returns, not so much of the defensive returns. But I don't know, I just have some reservations on them. I just think they gone on a bit of a purple patch and it's bound to dry up too soon. I watched the last game that they played, and the goal Dominic scored, it was like straight at the keeper. I mean, he should have saved that. and nothing really else from him other than that.
But in saying that, Calvin Lewis got another hat-trick this midweek in the League Cup, so definitely form is on his side.
Yeah. I mean, you can't take confidence out of the question. But I mean, it is League Cup as well.
The Carabao Cup, as Sagar calls it.
Yeah, I would take a punt on what's his name, Richarlison. I mean, he's on pens.
But risky choice taken. I believe he was injured in the last game, so maybe want to be tentative around bringing him. But definitely, when he's fit, one to watch.
That's interesting. I didn't know that he got injured. I didn't check that. But just judging from the last league game that I saw him, he coming on the left, and you got James Rodriguez supplying from the right. It just seemed like a good match, and I think that relationship is going to just build. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he just doesn't seem like a top class striker to me. But you know what? If you've got him, hold him, and but when he dries up, people are gonna start selling like that.
Yeah, the second person to say that. Kellen said the same thing.
Yeah. Oh, Ganakai put DCL as one of his not so formidable or consistent forwards. But Shay, looking at some of the other big fixtures, I think the one that stands out, and Kurt touched on it a bit, United Spurs is this Sunday. Both teams not in the best of form, but scoring goals. Wants to watch you when you look at that big game for the weekend, Spurs versus United at Trafford.
So many names to watch in that fixture. Hopefully we actually see some goals, and there's actually some great entertainment in that game, because there's a lot of hype with Jose coming back now to play against United. So where is that game? Where is it played?
It's at Trafford, and we heard Jose rile up Ole last week.
Measuring the
22-yard box that Ole wants.
Yeah, but obviously they're going to have a go at each other, him being the former manager and Ole taking over now. So it's interesting to see them actually form their relationship with the media, the kind of comments they throw out. And both of them are very confident when they actually take stabs at each other. It's interesting to watch these rivalries on TV. I know Roy Keane and Jurgen Klopp was another lucky one to watch last week. I don't know if you checked when Klopp called him out. When Keane said that they were playing sloppy. So yeah, sure. It's
always great when it's tasty like that. When they're giving a little bit of shit here and there.
But what matters is who comes out on top is whoever gets the result. Doesn't matter how the result comes, true. But if you get the result, then you've actually backed yourself up in terms of what you were saying. And but just on
classic Klopp, he's protecting his boys there. He takes the attention totally away from what I also thought was a sloppy performance. There were a couple like phases in the game, I'd say. Like, it's not a typical Liverpool performance, I'd say. But he took the attention away from it, and he made it all about Keane and him.
Yeah, he did in a way.
But it's lacquer. The hype is lacquer. Like, I mean, even United and Spurs, no stand-up performances. Even that 5-2 aside,
that 5-2 was a top game. That 5-2 was a top game. Mahrez put the first goal in, so from there it became very interesting.
No, but the Spurs, wasn't it 5-2 the Spurs game?
No, that was the City. I'm talking about the City Leicester game.
Yeah. She moved on.
But I'm saying there's hype now. There's hype that happens between Mourinho and Ole. It goes into the team, and then the players are also playing on that same hype.
Yeah, sure.
And they both need it. They both need something else.
The one thing we know that in any United performance, if United does well, Bruno is doing well. So Bruno is obviously someone that most managers are looking at, so maybe even as a captain option with the fact that he's on free kicks and penalties. Good. Do you have Bruno in your team? Would you be captaining him this week against a Spurs team?
Not against Spurs. I'm not so big on captain. Put my captain on strong teams. I tend to go for the ones that have been
you mentioned that
on statistics, I guess. But Bruno is definitely a guy that I'm going to keep throughout the season. I mean, I know how he plays, and I've seen him at his peak, and they're battling in the center of the pitch, but they just need to get that form right. And it's still the beginning of the season, so yeah, don't make any rash decisions. I'd rather have him in there. And you're right, set pieces and penalties. Why not? I try and fill my whole team up with penalty takers and set piece takers.
Yeah. But obviously, with it being Jose, we know it could be a scrappy game as well, and it could be won by an odd goal. So, Kiran, if I know you're a big United man yourself, but if you had to put your Spurs hat on, who would you be banking on to get some points in that Spurs team against your boys?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. I don't see a lot of goals in this game. I think Spurs are going to park the bus. They don't have Son. I'm not sure if he's back yet. I don't think they have Son, so that's going to be a big miss. So if I were captaining a Spurs player, it would probably be Harry Kane. I think he's probably going to be the only one that's going to get either an assist or Lucas Moura maybe. But I mean, there's so many other captain options on other better games. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't even captain anyone in this game. It's going to be.
I'm hoping Bale gets a run. It'll be nice to see him.
I don't think Bale will be ready by this weekend. There's talk that he might be ready after the international break. But it sounds clear from our boys here at the net, listeners. United and Spurs, maybe not the best captaincy options. Probably going to be a tough game for both teams. But maybe one to definitely watch where lots of goals can be scored. Shay, Leeds versus Man City. Pep versus Bielsa. Where's your money at? We know Leeds has been free scoring first few weeks. Man City scoring goals, but definitely not in form. Big names there. We spoke about Bamford at length last week. Is he still one to watch against a Pep City team?
Well, Bamford's obviously started in great form, getting 3 from 3. No one really expected him to get 3 from 3 this early on. But I really think City are just, if Pep gets them right and just instills it in your head that you are competing for the Premier League and this team has just been promoted and this is your first meeting, we're going to visit them, go there with the right mindset, we can destroy them, we will destroy them. If they go there with that mindset, then it's going to be an onslaught. But if Leeds can actually prepare for that onslaught and actually get themselves in the game early on, it's all going to be about the first half early on with whoever gets the first goal basically may just dictate the pace of this game. Because Leeds are playing away. I think if City get the first goal, it might just be floodgates. If Leeds get the first goal, they might just have something.
Leeds are at home against a City team, but I don't think home advantage really matters against a team like Man City, right?
Especially with no crowd right now. It can be very easy for that energy of that City team to just overpower them and run right.
Sure.
So let's see if Leeds have what it takes to hold on, because they haven't had that much experience. I mean, they got to play Liverpool, but they haven't had too much experience playing top-flight Premier League teams recently. It's been a few years. It's been a few decades, really. So let's see if they can actually hold their fort.
Yeah, it sounds like Shay's got some confidence in Bamford, but I think you'll always be betting against the odds if you bet against a City team. And a City team that's lost convincingly to a Leicester outfit, but there's always goals in a City team, and you can't overlook the likes of Sterling, Mahrez, De Bruyne. Will you be bringing any of those names into your team?
Not anymore. I've already got De Bruyne and Sterling in the team, and happy that I do.
Heavy hitters there. Two big money signings.
Sterling is playing in that number 9 position.
Yeah. We saw him play up front.
Going to be my captain choice as well for the weekend. Can't miss out on an opportunity like that.
And we know as good as Leeds
last night, they played Burnley. I mean, that game, Leicester game, it was their second game. They are suffering with injuries, and it was just defensive errors that made the game look so exciting, to be honest. Look at they're back. Look at how they played last night. It was quite good.
Yeah. And even though Leeds kept a clean sheet in the last game, they have. I was saying Leeds did keep a clean sheet in the last game week, but they conceded 3 goals in the first 2 games. So leaky defense, potentially one that
Yeah, I wouldn't have defenders from either team for this weekend. Leeds look like they play that exciting attacking football. I like it. Like Leeds. So yeah, I'm looking forward to quite a few goals.
Yeah, you got to have a City player in your team. And Kiran, I'm sure you've also got a few City names that you're looking at. If you don't have them in your team already, anyone you're looking to bring in?
Yeah, I've got De Bruyne in at the moment, and I couldn't bring in anyone else just because I had some other fires that I needed to put out. But yeah, I think it is going to be a high-scoring game. I mean, if Leeds continues to play their expansive football that they do, it's going to leave gaps, for City to exploit. I'm even thinking Pep might even go with the De Bruyne as a false nine. It worked quite well, I think, in the first game for them. So this is actually the first time I'm considering a triple captain, man. But I'm not 100% sure yet.
Oh, that's a big trip to be playing early in the season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know. Look, I'm not saying I am going to play it, but if it's the first time I'm considering.
I opened my app just now and I was having a look at my team, and I checked that my triple captain had been activated, but I didn't activate it, so I didn't know it was activated. But it was confirmed and everything. The thing was green.
Who was it activated on?
It was activated on De Bruyne against Leeds.
Yeah,
and I was like, hey, is this fate? Is this a sign? Do I play this? Do I leave it? Do I play it? Do I leave it? I cancelled it.
There's some destiny in that one, listeners. If you're thinking about triple captaining anyone, maybe City against Leeds might be the one to consider as Kirian is
keep that shot for a double game,
man. Let's see what happens.
Sure. And especially
is that I always keep it for a double game week. It always lets me down. The guy he has a crap game and it's worthless. So sometimes these triple captains on his off occasions can work quite well.
Yeah, but picking your chips are going to be so critical this year, especially with the COVID situation. We saw just last week, Thiago Alcantara got put away on isolation because of a COVID positive test. There's been 10 others also who test positive, and it's not always disclosed. So make sure you're picking when you're choosing your captain, make sure that it's a guaranteed starter first and foremost. But Shay, a few other big fixtures and potential dominating fixtures for the big teams. Arsenal comes to mind against a Sheffield United team that hasn't looked good at the start of this season. Arsenal at home, everyone's looking at someone like Oba to lead the line, classified as a midfielder this year. Potential for big points there. Oba, on your side, you think he's maybe even a captain choice if one has him in his team?
Yeah, if you've got him in your team, he's always a contender for captain. And against the Sheffield team at home, he's always a contender to get goals. So if you're looking at a goal from him, you're looking at 10 points easy there, plus another 4 for playing probably, and possibly in with a bonus. I mean, picking the right captain at the right time it's very important, and he's obviously one of them. Arsenal have got 2 wins out of 3 so far, so they're sitting on 6 points. They're not too far off from the top. But if you look at the comparison between the goals that have been scored from other teams, such as Leicester, 12, Liverpool have scored 9. So Arsenal are up there. They're and about, but they're not the most free-flowing of attacking, free goal scoring that's happening at the top of the league at the moment. So
let's not forget Lacazette. He scored in the first 3 games.
No, Lacazette is on form. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this Arsenal team is going to get you goals, and we know when they do erupt, the scorelines can get big. So just a matter of Arsenal hitting their form, and this is a good opportunity for them to actually knock 3, 4, 5 past Sheffield.
Yeah.
So
maybe even a clean sheet against a Sheffield United team that's lacking goals in the first few game weeks.
They've lost 3 from 3, yeah.
And we know
they're sitting right at the bottom in relegation zone. This is going to be a tough fixture for them.
Yeah, someone like Kieran Tierney is someone to watch in that Arsenal team. He bombs down the left. He's quite solid in the back, guaranteed starter. So listeners, at Arsenal game is one to watch out for, and some big hitters in Laka, Oba, and maybe even a defender to get you points. Good. I guess no one can overlook, and Shay just mentioned it, you cannot overlook the start that Leicester City has made. Scoring 5 against a team like Man City takes a lot of positive attacking play, and Leicester's got that in abundance. Where's your thinking when it comes to Leicester, especially when they're playing a West Ham team that showed great progress in the last game week?
Yeah, this is a tough one because both teams had a
Big
game.
scoring.
Yeah, and sure, I can go anyway. I'm a Hammers at Hearts fan, so I'll be backing the Hammers to pull another win. But man, to have those Leicester City Castagne again, I'm going to talk about him as a third week in a row.
He got an assist last week again.
Yeah. So that's what the team Vardy, of course. I think the thing is we got put off by his heavy price tag.
Yeah.
And there are spells where Leicester just go on a goal freeze.
Mm-hmm.
But now Chet Madison is back.
He scored again, came on as a sub.
And
he's got a screamer.
A top goal. So we'll try and also have a few Leicester players. And if West Ham can pull through, because West Ham's fixtures suck, but if West Ham can pull a few results, we definitely can see a player or two that we can pull into our fantasy teams from there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with the confidence they'll have after pulling results and the worst run of fixtures you can imagine, and then it's open season for them because then it's all easy pickings with a team that's looking hot.
Yeah, and you mentioned it now. I think Leicester is a team in form, and Kieran, I want to get your thoughts on this one. Many, as Kieran mentioned, many people probably didn't bring a Vardy into their team because of the price tag that he has. Many other budget forwards that were looked at. But is it time to get on the form bandwagon? Bring in a Vardy, maybe even if it means taking a -4 knock in sacrificing midfielder?
I like Vardy. I mean, Vardy is going to get you goals, even though he's coming on in the age, but he's still like quick as anything.
And he's the one winning the penalties as well that he's taking.
Yeah, man. No, I mean he's gonna get you goals. I mean, by hook or by crook. I wouldn't be ripping up my team to get him in. I think if you got him in, yes, or if you need to change out someone, if you looking to change out Werner or Jesus or something like that. You're looking for someone in that premium price bracket for a striker. Yeah, he's definitely one that you should consider. I don't think the strikers actually are quite disappointing so far this season. And that's why
other than Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah, and so that's why you can see everybody's downgrading to Calvert-Lewin and then upgrading their midfield. Yep. So look, I mean, I don't have him in myself, and I'm not really looking to bring him in. So yeah, but at that game it could go either way. I mean, they're both like counter-attacking sides, very defensive. It could probably finish 0-0, to be honest.
Yeah. And I think everyone was surprised with an Everton team scoring 4 goals against a Wolves team who's been renowned for keeping clean sheets. Shay, on the Wolves side, I think everyone was surprised. Many people really were disappointed to see the Wolves team perform very poorly last week. The likes of Jimenez, Sayers, all brought 0 points to many managers. Should they stick with the Wolves players that's in their team against a Fulham team that's also had a terrible start to the season? Where's your thoughts with Wolves recovering from the setback last week?
So Wolves aren't in the position that they were last season in terms of league position. And I think it's only a matter of time before this table actually starts to shape up. So I do rate Wolves as a team who will claw themselves back up to the top half of the table. I think they've got enough firepower in that squad. I know it may have been a sad game week. I think they got smashed 4-0. Was it West Ham? Or was it Villa?
Yeah, against West Ham. That's exactly it.
But there are some bright stars in that team. So there are still some positives that you could take out. And obviously Jimenez, you saw him last season. Him and Ings were like kind of comparative in terms of the performances they were doing for their clubs. They were just consistent all the way throughout. And I think it's going to be the same story now, especially with Jota leaving. And then you're seeing this guy, Podence, come about, and he's looking quite good down the wing as well. I think he's a left winger, right?
He was injured in the last game week, but I believe he's back on the field, back in training, so he's probably going to be back in the starting lineup.
I think Wolves are going to be too strong for Fulham. Fulham are new to the Premier League, and from the two teams, Leeds and Fulham, that I've seen so far, I think Leeds look a bit better in terms of their cohesion and the way they knock the ball around. So I know it's too early to say, but I think Fulham may just struggle this season. I know they've been in the Premier League very often in past years, and they have managed to keep themselves there. They're coming in, going out, coming in, going out. But first season back in, it's always difficult. If they don't get it right early on, they could be in big trouble. So I do rate Wolves to overpower them. I think there's more quality in that Wolves team.
A punt on Jimenez for captain, would that be too much of a risk for fantasy?
If you're one of those players who like risks, if you are a risk taker, then you'll go for all these random players and you'll alternate them with your big consistent names, because this is where your differential could come in.
This coming from the man who's punting on Bale to outscore.
No, but let me finish. I would not play anything out. I'm not a betting man, so I wouldn't take a chance.
Yeah, playing it safe.
Yeah, I would always try and play it safe, even though sometimes you play it safe and you end up with 4 points. It happens.
Yeah, for sure. If you play a risk strategy on your fantasy management managers out there, definitely Raul Jimenez one to watch. Yes, Wolves had a bad game week, but against a Fulham team that's been leaking goals, I'm seeing a few goals back at Wolves, and the likes of Jimenez and Traore are always on the score sheet when Wolves do well. But another big game, the last game on Sunday, I want to get your thoughts on this one. My boys, Liverpool, are playing away to Aston Villa. Both teams unbeaten in the season, but Villa have looked strong at the start of the campaign. The only team was not conceded a goal yet. Is there a chance that there's an upset on the cards, Villa against Liverpool, or can we expect?
I'm hoping.
That's a Man U fan here.
Definitely hoping. Villa looking strong. I hope they can keep the top of the table look for a long time. But I mean, for sure, Liverpool are getting lucky, so you should put your money, your fantasy money behind Liverpool players.
I can hear the listeners saying, "What is this man talking about?" Come on. On a serious note.
But on a captaincy note, on a captaincy note, if you probably would have a Mane or a Salah in your team, and over Jimenez that you were talking about earlier, you'll put it behind, or even on the City for this weekend. And I mean, Jimenez was a 1 goal per game type of scorer, so that's just a little bit that you're doubling up. But back to the last game of the weekend, I won't count on Liverpool defense. I think Villa are going to definitely put a goal in.
But speaking of Liverpool defense, Kiran, we know, as Gur said, I think lots of people are doubting whether Liverpool will keep the clean sheets that they used to last season and maybe the previous years as well. But even without those clean sheets, you can't overlook the likes of Trent and Andrew Robertson as point scorers for you from an attacking perspective. Is that something that many managers would be looking at, something you're looking at?
Yeah, look, I think the clean sheets help mostly like Van Dijk or Alisson, because they are only reliant on that. But when you're getting Trent or Robertson, you're mostly looking for the assists or even a goal or two.
Like Robertson just get delivered,
Yeah, I mean, look at that. I mean, I wouldn't, if I got Trent or Robertson in, I wouldn't take them out. Those are like season keepers. If you brought them in, the only reason you'll take them out is if they get injured. So, I don't know. Like, I think that's, honestly, in Liverpool, I don't see anyone beating them unless it's a freak accident or someone's injured, because they're just too strong. And they've got so much depth now. They've even got Jota in there, so and he's got off the mark as well
Here we go.
in the League Cup. So I mean, it's just there's no stopping that team. Right? Even City, like I have my doubts if City can beat them because City have regressed.
A team can always be stopped, man. Come on. Can be stopped.
Yeah, and I think I think it'll be a lot more competitive this year. Liverpool are still looking good, but I think the gap won't be as large as last season. But from a fantasy perspective, this fixture is one that I think all you listeners out there will be looking at and banking on the likes of Salah and Mane, as Gur mentioned, but maybe even an outside choice being Trent and Robertson as captain choices. Liverpool wants to watch over this weekend against a Villa team that started strong, but we know can be fragile at the back. Shay, moving at to another big game, Crystal Palace team that started well, but they're coming up against the Chelsea boys who are free scoring but leaking at the back. I think many people looked at Timo Werner and were banking on him the last 3 game weeks, but he's not delivered that big goal-scoring haul yet. Will that change going into this game week? They open up the game week against Palace at home.
Chelsea at home, always strong contention. I did say that I would think that they'd be league contenders for the title before the season started, but having seen how they shaped up for the first few games, I really think that they're falling behind fast, especially that lack of chemistry that they displayed against Liverpool.
It's still a work in progress.
It was definitely an indication to say this is a new squad, this is a new team, this is 7 new signings in that squad.
Yeah.
So we need the guys to play a bit together first before we can get the best out of them.
They showed a lot of heart in getting back, pulling back a 3-goal deficit in the second half against West Brom, showing their attacking potential. So will it be too early to put your money against Werner to succeed?
Oh, definitely not. I said he needs to come good, and now you mentioned the other night that he got his first goal in the Carabao Cup. So it's only a matter of time before he explodes. He has to come back. He has to start scoring goals. He will. He's got the class. And that goes for that entire Chelsea team. All of them will shine. All of them will have moments of magic and will be entertaining for the season. But in terms of actual title contention, for them to have not got it right so early is a very bad sign for what's to come for the rest of the season, because there may just be opportunities for them to stumble again. So give them some time. They'll play entertaining football, but I don't know about league contention anymore, this season at least.
Yeah.
And in terms of Crystal Palace, giving them an upset, I think they're going to be up for the fights. I know Chelsea showed great fight coming back from 3-0 down. They got a bit lucky there with that penalty as well, because it looks to me like there was a handball in the build-up. But seemed like VAR just let that one go. I think it was Havertz who seemed to have taken it on his chest, but may have just touched his arm. I can't remember who the player was for the last goal. But Crystal Palace are showing good fight too. I think Zaha getting 3 goals from 3 games early on. Yep. He's really leading that team. He only got 4 goals in 38 games all of last season. So 30-something.
He's been performing.
This season he's already on 3 from 3. Yeah. So, I mean, he did get to take Ayu's penalty. So that's one of them. But he's still getting goals and he's looking deadly. He's looking good. But in terms of consistency for Crystal Palace, that's also another story, because the games they lose, he's probably not going to get too many points. And same with the other attacking players in Palace. So from a fantasy perspective, I put my money more on Chelsea than on Crystal Palace, especially for the long term.
Yeah, for sure. Good Chelsea squad. Obviously spoke a lot about Werner, but we haven't seen the other big money signing, Kai Havertz, come right yet. I know you spoke about him last week. Any change of mind on Havertz? Do you still see him being an asset in a fantasy football perspective?
And Chelsea, that's
That's harsh, man. That's harsh.
Just going 3-0 down to West Brom.
Yeah.
I was like, this was wasting our time.
New squad, but man, new squad. Give them time.
There was that game where Kai Havertz played in his number 10 position and
in the League Cup.
Good one, that hat trick, I think it was. I checked Timo Werner scored a cracker recently.
Yeah,
so they may, but this Crystal Palace Chelsea game is going to be a dud game. Maybe a goal Max. So, one to watch. For me, I think I'm bringing in Townsend into my team. I mean, for the price and the contributions that he's doing and in just passing, assists, goal. So, yeah, I think if there's one to watch, is that and then Tyreek Mitchell.
I disagree with you there, Townsend, man. Been watching Townsend for so many years now. He never gave me that dimension.
But he looks like a good differential there, and there's quite a few good differential opportunities in that fixture. And Kiran, let me get your thoughts on this one. Chelsea, Palace, definitely a few potential differentials in both spots. Would you be choosing a Zaha or Townsend or even a Jorginho at Chelsea on penalties? Anyone that you would be looking out for?
I think Zaha definitely is on the list. I don't know about Townsend, man. I mean, like, I almost thought you were joking.
Yeah, but I was pulling a joke there. No, but I'm bringing the man in my team.
I was silly enough to bring Batshuayi in, and then he hasn't really featured much. So I don't know really about Crystal Palace. I mean, they typically are one goal team, unless they're playing United.
Typical type of
but look, I'll talk a little bit about Werner. I think he's a top finisher. I mean, world-class finisher. You can see when he strikes the ball, it's clean and it's powerful. It generates a lot of power without, having to run up, just like from a standing position. He's like, he's a little bit more improvement and he can get to Greenwood's level of finishing. He'll get there. He'll get some training and he'll get there. But no, seriously, I mean, he passed the eye test for me. I mean, I watched the couple of games that he played and he's getting in the good positions. He's getting good chances. He's got his first goal now, so he's going to click. He's a top class. He's proved it in European stage, so he's going to be there. And I think he's becoming a differential now because everyone's selling him. So
that's true.
I think it's just about Lampard getting, figuring out what his best starting lineup is, and then you're going to see a good, strong Chelsea team. Other than that, maybe Reece James. I'm looking at Reece James as a
attacking fullback.
Yeah. I mean, he's not going to keep many clean sheets, but he gets into some good positions.
And he's on corners as well.
Abdul Quetta is captaining that team again too. Looks like he got to start the last game after, I think it was, what's his name, that got the red card? Christensen.
So do you think they're going to play three in the back with SP as centre back?
Actually,
all I'm saying is he might start.
He might not, Shay. I think it's shown now over the last 3 game weeks that Lampard is putting faith in Reece James, and if SP comes in, it's going to have to be as a centre back in a defender system, a 2 centre back system, which is not somewhere where he can really operate well.
The only reason I suspected that he may get a permanent spot in that back line is for Thiago Silva slipped recently and Abdul Quetta wearing that armband when he's on the field. So I don't think you want to keep the captain on the bench for too long.
Important for Chelsea.
Yeah, so I thought he might just get some game time, especially with that slip from Thiago Silva. So
yeah, definitely Chelsea.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
He played. Are we talking about Azpilicueta, right?
Yeah.
He played the full match on the League Cup game.
Yeah, I noticed
That's why I kind of feel like he's like a bench player now. It's like like Ashley Young when he was.
Could go that way.
Yeah.
Could go that way. Yeah. Henderson was also captain from the bench for a long time too. So could very possibly go that way.
I think captain is like more like that leadership role, which I think he does well.
In the dressing room type of.
In the dressing room.
Yeah. And I think like we might need to reconsider Chelsea as a defensive force. With Mendy now brought in, he had a good game against Tottenham in the League Cup. If he can click, and if that defense can click, I think they might be a bit solid. Well, at least more solid than what they've currently.
Yeah, and we know that they've got Ben Chilwell fit again, so he's a lot more solid defensively than Alonso. So maybe managers out there reconsider just throwing away your Chelsea stars. we might see a change in fortune for the guys at Stamford Bridge. Moving on to just a few other small Nyana fixtures, but some big hitting players. We can't overlook Danny Ings when you're talking fantasy football shit. And Southampton are at home to a West Brom team that conceded 3. Danny Ings, one to maybe consider as captaincy?
Hey, I don't know about this captaincy choices for these smaller teams, huh? But one to consider for your team, but I don't know about captain. If you really want to be adventurous, and if you want to start picking the random players for captaincy, then you can bet on players like Jimenez and Ings every odd game week. But to be consistent with them as a consistent choice of captaincy, I don't know. Against West Brom, good chance you could get a goal. Definitely considering the fact that they conceded 3 against Chelsea in the second half. So there are holes in that defense. They will want to expose them early on while they've been rattled. So Ings looks like the man who's just, from the beginning of last season, just creating goals out of nothing. He's just getting onto the ends of loose balls and one way or another, getting into the back of the net. And even with a scruffy shot recently from a fantastic pullback, I might add, he managed to sweep that ball. I think it was Shea Adams who fed him with the cutback when he could have taken a shot. He decided to square it. Ings was there. He didn't get the cleanest of contact, but he found the back of the net. And that's what you want from a striker. So Jimenez and Ings, definitely good calls in this Fantasy Premier League. Captaincy choices, tentative.
Yeah, and I think this goes for the next and the last fixture that we haven't spoken about. Got a man that you called quite early, and he actually got on the goal sheet last week was Wilson with Newcastle. They at home to Burnley. Maybe a budget forward, Callum Wilson, to bring him into your team.
Yeah, what's he at? He even dropped price. I think he's at 6.4 now.
4 now, yeah.
Yeah, so Newcastle started off a little bit on fire. Next 2 weeks was scruffy for them. But Callum Wilson, I was going on his performance at Bournemouth and banking on rolling it over, plus all the signings that Newcastle have made. They strengthened their team, so they got a lot more possession. That's always an opportunity to create goals. Yeah, if you want to bring in, if you got a double transfer that you can make and you want to drop one of your expensive strikers and replace him with a cheaper striker, it's going to bring you the same, and then it's like he's going to be on penalties now as well.
So, something in the City team. The City team brought that kid you were mentioning, Liam Delap.
Yeah.
He's only 4.5 and he's classified as a striker. So
he is a striker,
He maybe wants to watch for the long term.
Definitely. Yeah, for sure. Especially with the likes of Aguero and Jesus being injured. Delap might get a lucky start, but I think there's a lot more exciting fixtures and strikers out there that you can look at, listeners. But boys, Kiran, last bit of advice for the fantasy managers out there around their selections this weekend?
Look, I think just on the captaincy choices that you were asking about, I think if you've got the likes of Salah, De Bruyne, Aubameyang, it's going to be one of those guys. You have to. It takes a real brave man to take the captaincy away from there. I mean, you almost guaranteed a goal or an assist from those guys. Look, last week was a horror week for everyone, but I mean, we know. Salah and De Bruyne, they're going to get on the goals. I think maybe something a bit left field. I just brought Lamberty into my side from Brighton.
Lamberty,
yeah, I've seen him play, and he's quick. He gets in the box. He wins penalties. He can get a good cross in, and sometimes he finds himself on the end of a good goal chance. So. Something like of a differential. Not many people are looking at him. Quite cheap as well, and a Brighton team that's quite attacking.
Yeah, and he's playing as right wing back as well.
Yeah, I think he's a good punt. If you're looking for a cheap defender there, and then other than that, like I'm bringing in the Wolves players. I brought in Jimenez now this week, even though he had a bad week. Last, just because they got some good fixtures in, and Shea also mentioned, you know what you're gonna get with Wolves. They're gonna they're consistent. I mean, 7th position in the last 2 years. They're always up there. I think he just maybe got it a bit wrong with his player selection in the last game, and it just didn't quite get going for him. But I think now with maybe Nelson Semedo coming in at right back, Traore pushing up, I think the shape will come right again, and the fixtures are lining up as well. So I think big opportunities for some Wolves players. Other than that, interesting one is Pereira from West Brom. I like him a lot. He's got a good eye for a pass.
Yeah, pretty creative.
Doesn't have any strikers to put it away. But he's got a good free kick as well. So, if you give away something in and around the penalty area, he's going to go for goal, and he's got a good free kick on him. So, and only 6 million for him.
Set piece taker, consistent consistently on the field. Definitely one to watch.
Yeah, I think that's from me on my side. And look, if you've got transfers and you don't have any real issues to put out, I would just hold off, wait for the international break that's coming up. It's almost guaranteed that people are going to come back with COVID somewhere along the line. And you're going to have some fires to put out in your side. So yeah, if you have a couple of transfers saved for that, it's going to help you out. Maybe get you some extra points over someone else in your mini league.
Yeah, I think that's a key point that Ken's making, listeners. This game week is the last before the international break, so consider that. Consider the current situation with the COVID, and if you have those transfers available, stash them away until you need them. Shay, any last thoughts before we close out for the listeners going into Game Week 4?
I think it's important that you stick to your original strategy. Whatever you decided while you had that break in between seasons, what you were thinking your strategy was going to be, whatever key players you drafted in, just because they didn't fire in the first few game weeks doesn't mean that they're not going to end up on 200 plus points. I'm talking about the big hitters, the big name.
I think we lost Shay there.
Don't be too quick to actually transfer these players out just because you think, this guy is worth 11. I could spend these funds so much better throughout my squad, improve all my other players. The fact that you chose him from the start, that was your gut feeling, that was your instinct, stick to it, because the key with fantasy is balancing the squad around the core that you originally selected. The players that you think that you thought before the season started are going to finish on 250 points. It's a lot to do with what you originally set out to do, and just modifying the strategy, adapting, picking players that are on form, changing your formation. I recently realized that always playing the same formation is not always the best choice. You have to follow the fixtures a lot and decide, hey, am I actually going to play an extra defender who's only a 4.0? Am I going to throw him on this week because I got all my other players playing away games against the big six or something? You got to consider those options.
I know Gur always mentions that have a strong bench, even your keeper. I think Shay is giving you the same advice. Try and have a solid bench as you're going into these COVID weekends. You never know who might be out of off the field going into the next game week.
One really important thing, I think, is when you do have those extra free transfers for the odd game week and you don't really have a set plan as to what you're going to use for a double transfer next week, use it on your bench players. If you're sticking to your core squad, bring in those 4.0s who are starting, so you actually have cover for those extra few points just in case one of your players don't play.
For sure.
I really think watching those really cheap players are very important.
Yeah, for sure, Shay. Good on your side. I mean, we've spoken a lot about the importance of having a solid bench, but I think it might be impulsive to be playing any chips right now. Any thoughts on that, and final thoughts for the listeners going into Game Week 4?
No, not a wild card. That's the one before the international break. Obviously, you don't even know about injuries that can happen. So, yeah, I think these are always the sad ones because you're hesitant to even take minus points. Or is it worth it? Because you take minus points to bring in a player on form. And 2 weeks is too long for form to last. It can easily wear off. So definitely not playing any chips. The bench, hit the transfers. One tip I can give is Brewster looks like he's on his way out of Liverpool and he's probably start for Sheffield. Yep. Also a 4.5 striker. So imagine having that's it was Delap from
Liam Delap,
yep. 4.5 and this Brewster 4.5 and two players that can potentially get a lot of game time, so that's worthy cause strengthening the bench.
Sure, I think that's a good one there. I mean, listeners, the value of a lowly priced player that is giving you good minutes on the field talks to both your bench and your starting lineup. So good one there, Kurt. But short, boys, I think Game Week 4 is going to be less exciting. You just want to try and get this game week over and done with and go into the international break and then revisit your team. Many of you probably looking at wildcards after this game week is over. But make sure you've got a solid team to at least meet the game week average. But sure, boys, Kiran, thanks a lot for joining us in this fantasy segment. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, man, it was nice. It was good fun. Thanks, guys, for having me.
Shut. Hoping to see you again. I'm sure the listeners are waiting for you. Shaker, always love having you, boys.
Sure, Raj. Always love talking about ball.
Thanks, man. Enjoyed it.
Shut, guys. And listeners, hope you enjoyed it. Some key pieces of advice from our panel, and we know that you're busy twiddling the thumbs there and trying to get your team ready for the game week. I think the advice from the net is quite clear. Hold back on making any major moves this game week. Get a solid team out there, and good luck with your selections. Let us know how it goes after the game week. You can always catch us on our social media handles, Facebook, and also YouTube. And subscribe to our channel. Listen to our podcast on the episode show as well. We'll be talking football, but on the fantasy one, we hope you're enjoying it and looking forward to the next one. All the best going into Game Week 4. Have a good one. Over and out from the Crab Net. Don't forget what you were told.